Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving into how to encrypt and decrypt objects in Amazon S3, which is Amazon Simple Storage or S3 bucket. This is a must known for everyone working with sensitive data in the cloud. In the video, we will cover how S3 handles default encryption using the Amazon S3 managed key. This is the default encryption that is automatically applied to your S3 object by AWS. And we will also see how to step up this encryption by using AWS Key Management Service or KMS, which is a custom version of the key encryption management that allows for custom control and auditing. We are going to be exploring all of these through the AWS console. Without much ado, we are going to jump onto our AWS console, and we are going to see how to implement this concept. So I am now in my AWS Access portal, and I'm going to be working from the management account, which is not the most appropriate, but I just like to work from there to avoid any permission issue. So I'm going to be logging in with the administrator access, and now we are in our AWS console. The first two concepts we need to look at is the concept of IAM and IAM Identity Center. Users and groups, or what we call identities, can be managed either from the IAM console or from the IAM Identity Center. The IAM console is efficient when you are managing users and role for a single AWS account. And in your IAM console, you can see that your user, like what I have here, I have two users and I have one group. Permissions are granted to these users and group through your roles and your policies. So you can assign each of these permissions to your user or groups as the case may be. But this is not an efficient way for identity management. In fact, in an organization or in an enterprise environment, users groups are managed from an IAM identity center, which is usually configured or enabled in an AWS organization. An AWS organization is a platform or an AWS service that allows you to manage multiple AWS accounts from a single centralized platform. So in this video, we are going to be using our IAM Identity Center, where you have your users, your groups being managed from a simple centralized console. And it is important to mention that in IAM Identity Center, unlike in the IAM console, permissions are granted to users and group through what we call a permission set. Permission set is like a bucket of permissions that have been grouped together just from the word set that has been grouped together and can be assigned to an account. Then a user is now granted those access by attaching those accounts to the user. So that user will be able to access this account and all the permissions that are attached to it through an assume role. So the user in an IAM identity center can access an account through an assume role. So if you look at what you see at the top right here, this federated user has logged into this account in form of an assume role identity. We are not going to be wasting much time on this because that is not what the video is all about, but it is just important to mention this. Now, the next thing we want to do that now is this. We have two identities that we are going to be working with. We have an identity here. Let me click on the user. We have an identity called that is identified by the email, which is this. Okay, and that is the one we are currently logged at. If you look at the login identity at the top right here, you will see it ended with what? felixmomodebe@gmail.com. That is the identity that is logged into this account. So we are going to be logging in into the same account with a different identity, which is let's use this. Okay. And then we're able to use this to explain the concept of our object encryption in S3 bucket. So I'm going to grab this user and I'm going to go to another browser and log in into the same account as this user. So I'm going to grab the email. And what is the account we are logging in? The account is 4186. You can see the account detail here. If I click on it, you can see this is the account detail. So I'm going to head over to a different console and I'm going to sign in into my AWS Access portal. Okay, I'm going to sign in and I'm going to send a push to my Okta notification and I'm going to approve it. I'm waiting for the push to come up. Okay, now I receive the push and I will go ahead and accept. The login has been approved and now I am logging into the same account with different identity. So if you look at it from here, you can see now that this is what I'm logging with. And if you go back here and I go back to my access portal, you can see here, this is what I'm logging with. Here it is felixmomodebe@gmail.com. While here it is the felix85@gmail.com. And I'm going to be logging into the same account. You can see here, if I go into my management account, these are the permissions that this user or this identity, this is the permission that it has. So let us go back to my management account. And I'm going to grant this identity here, I'm going to grant it a permission called S3 full access. And that permission is a very powerful one that gives this identity the ability to carry out all actions on the S3 in that account. And how do we do that? I will first go to my permission set and I'm going to create a permission set that grants AWS S3 full access. So I'm going to click on permission set and I'm going to create permission set and I'm going to use custom permission set. I'm going to click on next and I'm going to go with AWS managed policy because AWS already has a predefined policy that grants full S3 access to identities. If the policy doesn't exist, I can go to custom manage and I can build the policy by myself. But since the policy already exists, I'm going to click on this drop down and I'm going to look for S3 full access. And this is the policy. And I'm going to select it and I will scroll down. I will click on next and I will give the policy a name. And I will call it S3 full access permission set. And I will give it the same name. I will just say Amazon S3 full access. And of course, look at the session duration. It means that the permission will only be available for 1 hour for the user. You have the ability to change the time, but that's okay. Let's just go with the 1 hour. And if you look at the tag, we don't need to add any tag. I will click on next. I will review the policy and I will go ahead and create the policy. Now I have created S3 full access. And that is what I have here, S3 full access. So I will select that permission set. You can see it. I will select it. And I will go ahead. Let me close this. Sorry, I've created the policy. I will click on create permission set. I will go on custom, click on next, click on permission. Now I will select the policy. I will just write S3. I will call S3. I will select S3. I will scroll down. I will click on next. I will give it the name again. Amazon S3 full access permission sets. I will call it allow full S3 permission. And I will click on next, review everything, and I will create the policy. So I've created the policy. Oh, now the policy has been created. We now need to assign this policy, or sorry, this permission to the identity. But like I told you, we assign in IAM Identity Center, unlike in your IAM, regular IAM console, we are going to be assign this policy to the account and now attach the identity to it through the group. So I will go to the account, and which account do I want to assign the policy? That is the management account. So I will select the management account and I will scroll up and select assign user and group. And I will select the group to which the identity belong. Okay, let me quickly go back and show you. If I go back to my identity center, okay, let me quickly show you the group where the identity belong. And I click on group. If I click on user, this is the identity. The identity is this. Okay, but I don't want to assign it to the identity directly. We assign permission through the group. So I'll go to the group. And in my group, there's a group called administrator. If I click on that group, you can see the group contains 3 users. And this identity is one of them. So if I assign the permission to this group, then this identity will automatically inherit the permission. So I will go back to my account and I will come here and click on management account. I will click on assign group and I will select the group, which is the group. The group is administrators. And I will click on next and I will now select the permission. And what is that permission? The permission is S3 full access perm set. I will select it and I will click on next. Everything is okay and I will click on submit. But before I submit it, let me take you back to what we have in the account. If you go back to my access portal, if you go to the management account where I'm logging as felixmomadebe@gmail.com, you will see now this is only 4 permissions that this account has at the moment. You can see it has 4 permissions. Now I want to add another one. Also, if you go back to where I'm logged in as felix85@gmail.com, you also notice that it has only 2 permissions now. So I'm going to go back and assign this permission, and I will click on submit, and you will see it is provisioning now. And now it says we provision AWS account successfully. So if I head back to my account now and I refresh, you will see now that this permission will be added. If I refresh here and I open the account again, management account, you will see now that the permission has been added. AWS full access perm set. Also, if I go back to the other one and I refresh it and I go to the management account, you will see now that the S3 full access permission has been added. So it means that if I log in with this permission, I'm going to have access to perform all action on S3 in this account. Okay, now let us go back to our management account here where we log in as Felix Momodebe. And the next thing we are going to do now is we'll go ahead into our S3. And what we are going to do is we are going to create an S3 bucket. We are going to create an S3 bucket. So I will come here and click on create bucket. Now, before we go ahead and create bucket, let us go with general purpose. Let us give this bucket a unique name. Let us call it KMS demo bucket 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, just to make it unique. And we are going to leave all the configuration as it is, but we are going to pay our attention to what? Default encryption. So whenever you create an S3 bucket, by default, AWS will automatically encrypt that bucket for you. And this encryption will be decrypted at the point when you want to access that bucket. So if we go ahead now, we are going to leave it as AWS default encryption. And you can see it says server-side encryption with Amazon S3 managed key. So AWS is the one that manages this key. And so the user does not have, or the customer does not have any permission, to modify this key. So I'm going to go ahead and create this bucket. Okay, the bucket has been created, and this is the bucket here. You can see it. So I'm going to go into my other account, and I'm going to log in the management account using that permission. So I'll click on that permission, and you're going to see that so many things will be disabled. You can see a lot of stuff here is disabled because the account only have permission to S3. And you can see we have S3 here. I'm going to click on it. And you can see I have access to all the buckets, just like I have in the original account. And this is the bucket we have just created. If I open the bucket, you can see the bucket is empty and there's no object in it. So I'm going to go to my account now. I'm going to click on the same object, the same bucket, and I'm going to upload an object. So I'll click on upload and I'll click on add file. It's going to take me to my 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 Explorer, and I'm just going to select a file. Let me select this file, or let's just say, let me just select any file as the case may be. I will select this file, which is just a PNG file. I will click on open and I will click on upload. Now the file has been successfully uploaded. I will close this banner and you can see the file is uploaded in this account. I'm going to head over to the other account. And if I refresh, you will see the same object has been uploaded. If I head over to the original account where the object was uploaded and I click on properties, you will see now that this object is encrypted by AWS server-side encryption. But even though it is encrypted by the user that signed in, which is our Felix Momodebe Gmail, despite it is the user that is encrypted, every other user that has access to this bucket can view the object. If I click on the object now and I click on open, you can see the object is opened. That means this object is not secured because anybody that has access to that object will be able to access that object, even though it was encrypted by AWS. And this is where the concept of KMS, customer managed key, comes up. You can create your own custom key and encrypt your object so that your object can only be accessed by the person that has the permission to use the key. And in this case now, we will head over to our KMS and create a key. So I will head over to my account. I will click on KMS, which is another AWS service, key management service. I will right click and open it another tab. And I will go into my customer managed key. I have another key here, which has already been selected for deletion. I will go and create another key by clicking on create key, and it's going to be a symmetric key. A symmetric key is a single AWS key that can be used for both encryption and decryption, while your asymmetric key is a key pair that has both a private and a public key that can be used for decryption and encryption. Here we are going to be going for a symmetric key, and the key usage will be for encryption and decryption. And if you click on advanced option, we are going to be leaving that key to be managed by KMS. And of course, it's going to be a single region. We don't need a multiple region key. And I will click on next. And I'm going to give my key a name for easy identification. And I'll just call it KMS. I'll just call it KMS demo key. Okay. And I'll just call it for encrypt and decrypt. And I'll go ahead and click on next. And it's asking me who or which of the identity can perform key administration on this key. And what do we mean by key administration? That means the user who has the access to modify the key, maybe delete the key, or to carry out any action on the key. For this purpose, I'm not going to be selecting anybody, but the user or the creator of the key will have access on it by default. But I'm not going to be selecting anybody. I will click on next. The next key is asking me that which user has the permission to use this key for cryptographic action. If you look at it here, it says selected IAM user is authorized to perform key in cryptographic operation. That is, they can use the key for both encryption and decryption. Also, for the purpose of this demonstration, at this stage, I'm not going to select anybody. I'm not going to select any user or any identity. I'll just go and click on next. I'll click on next because this is the permission, and I'll click on next, and I will click on finish. So a key has been created, and this is the key. The key doesn't have a name. Let me click on action. I need to give it a name, please. Let's click on view detail, and I will click on edit. I want to give it a name, alias. Why can't change alias? Oh, unfortunately, maybe I cannot change the alias. Yeah, that's unfortunate. I think I'm supposed to have added the tag, but that is fine. We just know what the name is. This is the name of the key. You can see it here, a very long name here. Okay, this is fine. Now that we have created the key, we are going to head over to um, our bucket. Let us click on the bucket, and we are going to select the bucket. This is the bucket here, and we are going to click on properties, and we are going to go to under default encryption, and we are going to click on edit. This time, we are going to change it from server-side encryption. We are going to change it to server-side encryption with key management service. And in this case, it says that the server-side encryption will be, if you look at it, when I select this, it says changing the default encryption will blah 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 blah. It's just telling us that in this case, it is the user that has the ability to encrypt this. And so if you go straight down, it's asking us for the what? For the ARN of the key. Unfortunately, it's not going to allow you to select the key, but you have to add the ARN of the key. So we'll go back to our KMS. We'll click on, okay, this is the name comes up. We'll click on the key, and this is the ARN of the key. We'll select it. We'll go back here and we'll paste it. So the ARN of the key has been pasted, and we'll click on Save Changes. So if you look at it now, I will close this banner. As you look at the properties now, the key is being, the bucket is being encrypted by this key. Now let us head over to our other account, and let us see something very instructive. Now, I have encrypted the bucket, but it is important to mention that bucket encryption is not retroactive, meaning that object that has been uploaded before the encryption is placed on the bucket will not be covered by the encryption. So for example now, I've uploaded this object before I carry out the encryption action, before I encrypted the bucket. So if I go ahead now and I still click on open, the bucket will still be opened because this object was uploaded before the encryption. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to my bucket and I'm going to re-uploaded this object. I'll click on the object, on the bucket, and I'll click on upload. And I'm going to what? I'm going to upload the same object. I'll click on add file and I will click on, I think it's in this is the object, and I will re-upload it. When you re-upload the same object into an S3 bucket, it's going to override the existing one. So I'm going to click on upload, and it's going to what? Override the existing one. So I'll close this banner, and I will go back to my object now, and I will come back here and I will refresh. I've refreshed that bucket now, and I've come to my object here now, and I will refresh it. And you can see now it is what? Access denied. It says what? If you look at what we have here, it says, um, it said this object is not authorized to perform the decrypt resources because no identity-based policy allow decrypt action. Because this key has been used to what? To encrypt the object. And so the object cannot be opened by someone who doesn't have the permission. So for example, now, if I go back to the bucket and I upload another object, I will add file and I'll go into my download folder and I will upload another object. Let me upload this and I will click on open and I will click on upload. So if I close this banner, I've uploaded another object, wp.png. If I go back to my object now and I refresh, now I have another object. Let me select and try to open it. You can see it is what? Access denied. Now, how can you give access to this bucket to be able to encrypt, to be able to decrypt and open this object? That is very simple. Let's go back to our object now. I will go back to the key management service and I will click on my customer manage. And this is the key that is used to encrypt it. I will click um, on the key. And under the key policy, you will see key users. Who are those that can use this key? So I'm going to add a user now. And who is this user? This is the user here. That user, if you go to your account here, and if you look at the user that logs in, this is the federated user that logs in. So you're going to copy the whole federated user here without the identity. Don't forget that this user is merely assuming this role. So you are going to be granting access to this role because whatever access that this role has, this user will be able to assume it. So I'm going to be copying the assume role part. So let me just copy everything and I will be able to what? Edit it. I'll copy everything now here. I will go back to my key management. I will paste that name and I will remove the identity at the back. And I'm only giving this permission to this role. I will select it and I will add user. Now I've added user, if you look at it, I've added user to this role. So any user that log into this account will be able to do whatever this role can do. Now the user has been added. If I head over to my account now, okay, and I refresh, and I head over to this bucket, and I refresh this bucket, you can see now the user has access to open it. If I also refresh this, the user also has access to open that account because the user now has the permission to use the encryption key to be able to access that um, um, object in the bucket, just because that user is now part of the key users, the key that has been used to access that user, the key that have been used to encrypt the bucket. So this is how you can encrypt and decrypt your um, your object in your S3 bucket, and you can grant access to the user that you want to give the permission to access the object. And let's assume you don't want this user to be able to access this object again. All you need to do is to just go back to your key and remove this user. So if I come here now and I remove the user and I head back to the account and I refresh it, if I refresh it, it's going to take a couple of seconds. If I refresh it, you find out that the user will not be able to access the account again. So just because the permission to that has been granted, you can see I refresh now and it is gone. If I come back here and I refresh as well, the permission will be gone. Just because you can say it says what? Access denied. Because the user is not permitted to um, to access that um, object again because the permission has been taken away from the user by removing the user from the key users. Do you understand what we have just explained now? So that is how you can easily encrypt and decrypt your object in S3. And let's assume that this user now want to make an attempt to open or to decrypt or to maybe modify your key. Don't forget that this user only have S3 access. So let's assume that this user want to tamper with the KMS key. Maybe the user decide to go to KMS and decide to open your KMS. You will see that it's going to be met with what? access deny because the user does not have access to see your key management. If I click on key management now, the user cannot see the key because the user doesn't have the permission. You can see it says access deny. User doesn't have the permission to does not have the identity to the permission to check. Is not authorized to perform this action. So this is the essence of permission set, and this is how it is being implemented or deployed in an enterprise environment. And let's assume that you don't longer want to allow the account to have access, or you don't want the user to have access to S3 bucket again. All you just need is to head over to your IAM Identity Center. Don't forget I told you that the permission set is granted to the account. So if you don't want the access to be there again, don't forget if I take you to the access portal, this is the permission, S3 full access. Also, if you come here and you go to the access portal, you will see that the user has S3 full access. If you don't want this user to have access to this again, all you just need is to take the permission away from the account. And that is what I want to do now. You head over to your IAM Identity Center, you click on account, and you go to the account that is in contention. You click on the account, which is management account, and you click on permission set, and you look for that permission. The permission is S3 full access. You select it and you remove. And you confirm it by typing delete and you remove access. If I head over here now and I refresh and I go to my management account again, you can see now that the permission is gone. Also, if you come here, this is the permission. You can see there are 3 of them. If I refresh and I head over to my management account, you can see the permission is gone. So this is how permission and access are managed in an enterprise environment. You don't do it individually on users and group, just like you have in your IAM. In fact, there's a dedicated IAM account that is called a delegated administrator to manage IAM. And that is where we're supposed to be doing all this. But I just decided to do this for the purpose of our demonstration. So please bear that in mind. Don't forget, if you have any question on identity management, or if you want me to do any video regarding identity management or user management, kindly put it in the comment section, and I'll do my best to respond to you. Thank you, and God bless. I hope you understand 1 or 2 things from what we have done here, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Please, if you do, kindly like, comment, and ask your questions in the comment section. And if you have any question, kindly put it in the comment section, and I'll do my best to answer your question as soon as possible. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.